The same type of dynamic political leadership that Jennifer Granholm brought to Michigan is being demonstrated half a continent away by our next guest, Mayor Antonio Villaraigosa. The mayor has worked tirelessly to create hundreds of thousands of jobs in the city of Los Angeles. He is particularly working to transform the transportation infrastructure in the city of Los Angeles, creating clean energy jobs. According to one analysis I heard, he may have the biggest carbon reduction in his city of any city in the United States since he's taken office. Mayor, thank you very much for joining us. The stage is yours.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. God, I have to go after Jennifer Granholm. I love her. I really do. I remember the first time meeting you, and I tell people in my life I've had two pinch the cheek moments. One of them was to meet Nelson Mandela in his home, and the other one was to give one of the speeches, eulogies for Rosa Parks. And I remember hearing you speak with such a passion and eloquence, and I had to go on a few people after you, and I was thankful that I had to go on after you. But this time, I get to go right after you, and that's a difficult thing to do. I want to thank you all for inviting me here today, and particularly Secretary Chu and the Department of Energy for bringing us all together. Less than 2 weeks ago, the air pollution in Beijing was so bad, it defied measurement. It was off the charts. With biting wit, observers dubbed the city's polluted skies the airpocalypse. Closer to home here in the United States, we recently learned from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration that 2012 was the country's hottest year on record. 2012 also broke global records, joining the ranks of the top 10 hottest years. Now, that's not a record to celebrate, not by a long shot. Since record keeping began in 1880, 9 of the 10 warmest years have all taken place since 2000. Events and statistics like these have become increasingly familiar, and they all point to the same inescapable conclusion. Climate change is here to stay. The science is clear and compelling. The evidence on the ground and in our air is inescapable. Now, we can't continue our fossil fuel burning ways and expect to bequeath a healthy planet to the next generation. The world's energy future will be clean. It will be sustainable. For the sake of the planet, it must be. Now, meeting the world's sustainability targets will require substantial investment. But money alone is not enough. Cleaning and greening our global energy future will demand robust cooperation and collaboration. No single country has caused climate change, and no single country will solve it. We must work together to find solutions, develop investment opportunities, and share best practices. So I'm grateful to you for the opportunity to introduce to you our efforts in Los Angeles to make LA one of the cleanest, greenest big cities in the United States. Now, cities have to be on the front line of creating a sustainable future. Our urban areas only take up about 2% of the world's surface, but their carbon footprint is much larger. Cities use more than 2/3 of the energy and put more than 70% of the globe's carbon emissions. The impact will only grow. According to the United Nations, by 2030, more than half of the world's population will live in urban areas. Many of our cities are on the world's coastlines. They're particularly vulnerable to the rising sea levels and intense storms. Hurricane Sandy gave us a clear lesson in the devastation that occurs when a storm sweeps through a dense urban area. Now, if cities are a major part of the problem, it also means they can be a major part of the solution. If we green our cities, we can take a significant step toward greening the planet. Now, this awareness of the special power and responsibility of cities to the world's environment has driven our clean energy agenda in the city of Los Angeles. Now, I know LA is known as the capital of smog. And when I took office in 2005, I knew we could become the capital of sustainability. Now, to get there, we couldn't think small, we couldn't be timid, we had to think big and bold. We had to take a comprehensive approach to reduce our emissions and green our city. So we set ambitious goals. Even though the federal government had given up on Kyoto, we didn't. We pledged to meet the Kyoto climate change protocols in July of 2005 when I took office. At the time, there were about 100 mayors that had signed on. Today, there are more than 1,000 mayors across the nation that have signed on. We promised to shrink our carbon footprint by 35% below 1990 levels and do it by 2030. We pledged to get 1/3 of our energy from renewable sources by 2020. We promised to take our power utility off of coal, and we've delivered on those promises. Already, we have reduced carbon emissions by over 28%, 5 times the Kyoto requirement. As I understand it, only Copenhagen, London, and Toronto are ahead of the city of Los Angeles. And by setting and meeting these goals, we would establish LA as the leading innovation hub in the global renewable energy industry. We'd make LA the green energy capital of the United States. Now, as we transform our energy profile, some of the most effective tools in our toolkit are our unique municipal assets. You see, we own the largest public utility in the United States, the largest port in the United States, and the second largest destination airport in the United States. These are the pillars of the LA economy. In fact, they're some of the pillars of the U.S. economy. Now, by making them cleaner and greener, we could take a giant step forward. The LA Department of Water and Power, as I said, is the largest public utility in the United States. It's responsible for nearly 1/3 of our carbon emissions. Now, since 2005, we've moved aggressively to diversify the department's energy portfolio. In 2005, 4% of our energy sources was from renewable sources. Today, and since 2010, the department gets over 20% of its energy from renewable sources: wind, solar, biofuels, and hydroelectric. There's enough energy to power over 320,000 households. Now, reaching the 20% threshold has lowered the city's carbon emissions by 2.57 million metric tons. This is the equivalent of taking over 500,000 cars off the road. We've also partnered with the DWP to drive innovative conservation and energy programs, something that I know the Secretary has been proselytizing and talking about for a long time. This year, we became the first big city in America to begin a citywide solar feed-in tariff program. We can now take advantage of one of our cheapest, most abundant, and most sustainable natural resources, our sunshine. Now, with over 100 megawatts and on our way to 150, on offer, the program will bring thousands of jobs to LA and make it economical to install solar power within the city limits. Now, with this program, we can build the market and ensure that we have the best, most cost-effective system in place. We want to learn from Spain, learn some of the best practices of Germany and others, and put a program that will work, that will be sustainable, and that people will take advantage of. It will be a system to provide the foundation for future growth and future innovation. Now, the Port of Los Angeles is the busiest port in the United States of America. In fact, we move 44% of all the seaboard goods that enter the United States. And anybody who knows or hails from LA knows that that port is one of the biggest polluters in the region. Over 150 million tons of goods move on and off our docks last year. And the ships and trucks that haul all of this merchandise produce a lot of soot and dirty air. In 2005, we sat down with the port's main stakeholders, the shippers, the haulers, the community, environmental organization, labor unions, and hammered out a plan. You see, for the longest time, business and one side of the equation said we got to grow our port and we got to grow it at all costs, no matter what. The other side said we got to green our port and we got to green it at all costs, even if it means killing jobs and reducing the size of our port. And I said, well, you're both right and you're both wrong. Actually, you're not going to be able to green the port if you're not growing it, if you're not making investments, if you're not creating wealth. And you're not going to be able to grow the port, because we've been sued again and again because of the public health consequences of growing the port, unless you green it. We built a social and political compact that grew the port and that greened the port at the same time. Now, a central element of our plan has been the Clean Truck program. We set the world's highest bar for clean air standards for short-haul trucks. This innovative program has taken old, dirty diesel trucks off the road and replaced them with some 9,000 clean energy vehicles. In combination with other air quality measures, the Clean Truck program has contributed to major environmental improvements. Truck emissions at the port have plummeted by 80%. Sulfur oxides have been reduced by 76%. Diesel particulates by, it says here 69, but it's actually 71%. And nitrogen oxides have fallen by 51%. Nearby residents are breathing easier, and the air quality of life has improved. The Clean Truck program is a clear example that economic development and environmental stewardship are not mutually exclusive. In fact, they go hand in hand. We have every intention of building on the momentum of the Clean Truck program. The port is funding development of diesel hybrid trucks, plug-in electric trucks, and hydrogen fuel cell trucks. We'll continue to push the envelope and create new opportunities for innovation. And when we do, it means new markets, new jobs, and a more sustainable Los Angeles. Now, Los Angeles is a two-port town. If the world ships to the port of Los Angeles, it flies to LAX. We work hard to reduce our cities and our airport's carbon footprint. During my first term in office, we adopted a comprehensive sustainability plan for LAX. It sets the most stringent environmental standards for airport operations and for airport construction projects. Because of our efforts, LAX is fast becoming one of the country's leading airports for LEED certified buildings. In fact, there are more LEED certified buildings, and I'll talk about our building program in LA than any other place in the United States. We're investing $6 billion to modernize our port and our airport. But to become a true green energy leader, we must do something about one of the most significant sources of pollution, the single passenger automobile. Now, you know, I'm born and raised in LA, and I think anybody who knows my city, it's a city known for its addiction to the single passenger automobile. It's the city that invented sprawl, and we paid for it. It's the birthplace of the car culture, and soon after we became the birthplace of the traffic jam. And when I hear talk radio from time to time, it almost always talks about the traffic and what is the mayor going to do about it. But in 2008, I'll tell you what we did. The voters of LA took a decisive step in creating a 21st century mass transit system in our region. The voters passed an initiative we called Measure R. The initiative raised our sales tax by ½ a cent and dedicated this added revenue to transportation funding. Over the next 30 years, Measure R will raise $40 billion for transportation investment in our town. With this investment, we'll double the size of our rail system and finally deliver on the vision of a truly regional transportation system. In fact, what we're hard at work right now is doing 30 years of work in 10 years period of time. How are we going to do that? We just passed America Fast Forward that the mayors led the effort on, incentivizing cities, a federal program to loan so we can accelerate projects by bonding against and loaning against the dedicated funding sources. We're looking at public-private partnerships. We just did $700 million in public-private partnerships on freeways. We're looking to do that for rail as well. We'll give our residents real alternatives to the automobile and take a further step toward creating a more sustainable LA. Now, every year, we eliminate another 500,000 pounds of pollutants from our air. We reduce our use of gasoline by 10.3 million gallons and reduce the miles driven on our roads if and when we build this system. All of these initiatives are large scale. They involve billions of dollars, and they've worked. They've helped the city of Los Angeles, as I said, meet its Kyoto Protocol targets in October 2009, 4 years ahead of schedule. But getting to a green energy future isn't just about big steps. There are plenty of small steps that cities can take. In LA, we've also initiated a host of the smaller scale projects and initiatives. We measure them in tens of millions or hundreds of millions of dollars and not billions. But despite their small size, they pack a lot of punch. They're making a significant contribution to LA's sustainability and livability. Now, the best source of renewable energy is the energy that you don't use. We've made energy efficiency a centerpiece of our efforts to reduce the city's carbon footprint. We've instituted an aggressive green retrofit program for public buildings and have increased the energy efficiency of 1,000 public buildings. The City of Los Angeles adopted, as I said, one of the nation's toughest green building ordinances for private buildings. We worked with small businesses and provided energy efficient lighting to over 37,000 small firms. Measures such as these have vastly increased the city's energy future. Fiscal year 2008-2009 was our record year. We hit a new energy savings record of 318 gigawatt hours. It's equivalent to removing 53,000 households from the grid and avoiding 178,000 metric tons of carbon. We're currently replacing all 140,000 old incandescent bulbs in our street lights with new energy efficient LED lights. Now, everything that we do in the city, we measure. We're now at 115,000. I think the only other city close to us is London at about 55,000. When we're finished, we will certainly lead the world, and we will finish by the time I am out of here, and I am just about to hit the road. By the way, the stuff we're doing at the airport and the port, all of that has to be completed by the time I'm gone, and it will be. We've replaced all of our traffic lights to LED, and we're doing something else. We're synchronizing 4,500 traffic lights in the city of Los Angeles. We're about 94% complete. We'll be 100% again by the time I'm gone. It will reduce our carbon emissions by more than 40,000 metric tons. And this year it will also give drivers less time idling in traffic, reducing their commute and their carbon emissions. And it will reduce those carbon emissions by more than 1 million metric tons. I'm sorry, the 40,000 metric tons, yes, the 40,000 metric, I'm sorry, I got a little confused because they repeated the same line here. So in our nation's car capital, we made a push to bring back the bicycle. You know, I had a pretty serious bike accident a couple of years ago. I'd been talking about building bike lanes. Anybody who knows LA knows it's a city, as I said, addicted to the single passenger automobile. We don't have many bike lanes in our town. We set a goal. We said we're going to do 4 times the bike lanes that we used to. And last year, so that means we're going to do about 40 miles of bike lanes each year. In our first year, we did 80. We're going to do 1,600 miles of bike lanes over the next 30 years, bikeways and sharrows. We took inspiration from Colombia's famous weekly car-free bicycle and pedestrian events, the Ciclovia, and we made it the Ciclovia. And on Ciclovia, you know, we thought, like other cities, and a lot of other cities have done this day to kind of create a canvas with the streets and neighborhoods and allowing people to get on a bike. We thought we'd get, 10,000, maybe 15,000, maybe even 25,000 people, like many other cities do across the country. The first one got 100,000 people. And I tell people, if the first one got 100,000 people, the last one had 200,000 people. We've had to expand it. year, we're going to expand it all the way to the ocean. It will be the biggest one of its kind outside of Bogota, which I had an opportunity to visit, and it will continue to set the standard and the notion that in LA we can do different. We can change our culture. We can not just talk about climate change, but do something about it, and we can lead the world. And so my message to fellow mayors is straightforward. As municipal leaders, we can't be deterred by the slow pace of progress on the state, national, and international levels. We can and we must step in the breach. There's a tremendous amount that cities can do to reduce the stress on the world's climate. And as we create greener, more livable cities, we have an opportunity to rethink the very foundations of urban infrastructure and urban economies. In LA, we're hard at work creating the economic ecosystem where these inventors, innovators, and investors who will drive the green economy of the future can thrive. We're hard at work creating a city that capitalizes on its sunshine to drive a 21st century solar economy. What we've done, we've gotten UCLA, SC, Caltech. We're putting together, we have worked with them to create a technology initiative, a clean technology initiative, because we're going to take advantage of all of the things that we're doing in LA to create a greener economy, a better and stronger economy going into the future. I want to thank the Secretary for asking me to come by. And again, if LA can do it, every city can do it. And cities are doing it. And I'll end with this. You know, when I went to Copenhagen, the mayors were there when the presidents. I think the difference and the opportunity, and I was talking to one of your assistant secretaries, Secretary Chu, about this notion. You know, when we were there, we saw the mayors of the great cities. Mayor of London was there, Bloomberg from New York, I was there, Daley from Chicago, the mayor of Mexico City, the mayor of the great global cities were all there. And at a time when all of our national leaders were elbowing each other and pointing fingers to see who could do the least, we were elbowing each other too to see who could do the most. We were competing. You know, that's what mayors do. And when you look at particularly the global economies like LA, New York, and the ones I just mentioned, that's where the opportunity is. We're not waiting on the federal government. We're not waiting on anyone. We're going to move forward. And when we do, the states and the nation, the world will move with us. Thank you very much.